Hi, I'm Anthony Randazzo with the Reason TV. I'm joined today by Peter Wallison. He is the Arthur F. Burns Fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, and he was a commissioner on the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission, which was set up by Congress to look into the causes of the financial crisis. Peter, thanks so much for joining us.
Really good to be here, Anthony. Thanks.
The commission that you were on found that the crisis was caused by a mixture of deregulation, of Wall Street greed, predatory lending, and many other things. Why do you say that this is wrong?
There's absolutely no evidence for anything that the commission, the majority of the commission, put in their report. The financial crisis was the result of government housing policy. By 2008, there were 28 million subprime or other very weak mortgages. Those are known as Alt-A mortgages. There were 28 million of those in our financial system. Of that 28 million, 20.4 million were on the books of government agencies like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA and other government agencies and banks that were holding them as a result of the requirements of the Community Reinvestment Act.
Stanford political economist Francis Fukuyama recently, in an interview, said that your dissent to the Commission's report was transparently designed to exonerate free markets. Did the crisis have nothing to do with free markets?
My point was, without the government's housing policy, there would never have been a financial crisis. That's not exactly the same thing as saying that government housing policy caused the financial crisis. It's stating it another way, and that is, if we hadn't had the government's housing policy, that is, or but for the government's housing policy, there wouldn't have been a financial crisis.
Many economists that have claimed that it was the structure of Wall Street growing too big for itself and becoming too interconnected, that even if you presume the government was necessary for it to happen, that we still had to come in and bail out Wall Street. Do you dispute this?
I will dispute the idea that we had to bail out Wall Street. And for this reason, that is, the government bailed out Wall Street on the theory that all of these firms were interconnected. What it means, according to the government, is that if one of these large companies fails, it drags down others. But when we look at Lehman Brothers, we can see that nothing that Lehman Brothers did by failing had any effect, any significant effect, on all of these other firms. Yes, there was chaos. Investors ran. That was caused by a common shock. Common shock refers to a case in which a very widespread asset of some kind suddenly plunges in value. And the reason, in this case, mortgage-backed securities backed by these low-quality or subprime mortgages.
Do you see any viable path forward to address Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac after the 2012 election?
Yes, in fact, the 2012 election could make it possible for us to address Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the FHA, I might add. That's one of the factors. The Federal Housing Administration is important here, too. Every Republican presidential candidate has said that the cause of the financial crisis was Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and U.S. government housing policy. Now, once you establish the right narrative, then the answers fall out by themselves.
Are you not concerned at all that there are people in the Republican Party significantly involved in preventing the reforms to Fannie and Freddie that were proposed in 2004 and 2005, that one of the candidates for the Republican nomination, Newt Gingrich, worked for Freddie Mac?
Yeah, in fact, he was at AEI at this point. I was attacking Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac at AEI in the 2000s, 2004 to 2007, saying that they were a real risk to the country, and meanwhile, 2 doors down from me, Newt Gingrich was helping them persuade people that they weren't so bad. So I am concerned about this history, and I'm concerned about these Republicans. If these people say that they are conservatives, and many of them argue that they are conservatives, they are not conservatives if they are willing to back Fannie and Freddie.
Would you say that today's weak economy is a direct result of the financial crisis, or are there maybe other underlying aspects of why the U.S. economy has not bounced back strongly from the last recession as it normally does after recessions?
Yeah, I actually believe that it is the reaction to the financial crisis, principally the Dodd-Frank Act, that has caused today's economy to be as weak as it is. Without that, if we had just let the housing market decline Let everything go down to the level where people are willing to come in and start buying. That is where the bottom is found. Then we would have been in recovery right now. But the government's actions in trying to prevent that from happening, its government's actions in impeding the development of new financing sources for housing have caused the problem we are in today.
Well, thank you so much. I've been joined by Peter Walson from the American Enterprise Institute for Reason TV. I'm Anthony Randazzo.